Welcome to the Stafford Excellence Ed Talk podcast, where we celebrate the excellence and brilliance of our Stafford County Public School educators. Today on the podcast, guys, I am so excited to have Laura Van Dyke, a fifth grade teacher from Grafton Village Elementary. Laura has been a great friend of mine for the past couple of years as we've both been science leads. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Dan, so much for having me. I'm excited to do this with you.
Oh, I'm pumped. And, you know, a fellow fifth grade teacher, like, it even makes it better. Fifth grade is the best grade, just saying.
For sure.
Okay. So, first of all, let's start off by, how's it going? We're in the third week of school right now. All of our students are back. How do you feel? How's it going?
It has been so wonderful, I think, having all the students back with me at the beginning of the year. And I think that's something that we missed last year, during COVID, because we didn't get that chance, we were on the computer, so you didn't get that chance. We built that classroom community, but it's a lot different, I think, when you have them in person.
Yeah, I was in a school on the first day of school, and I could just feel this amazing energy. And the classrooms even seemed, like they had more life because everything was back, and it just felt so good.
And I feel like the kids really missed each other, too, just like being with each other and being able to talk with each other. That I totally agree, Dan. It was like, and I think even as teachers, we were so excited. And I feel like we had a new energy coming into this year as well.
Yeah, it's just electric. So, Laura, just as each podcast goes, we break the podcast into 3 different parts because we're talking about you. We're celebrating you, your incredible excellence as a fifth grade teacher at Grafton Village. So we're going to first talk about your story, and then we're going to talk about your excellence, and then we're just going to kind of wrap it up with your thoughts. So, are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready, Dan.
Okay, time for your Stafford Excellence Ed Talk, Laura. So, first of all, just tell us a little bit about your story, a little bit about yourself, how you came to be a teacher, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so actually, Dan, I am not from this area whatsoever. I actually grew up in a city called Ridgefield, Minnesota, which was just south of Minneapolis. And if you've been to the Mall of America, it was about 5 minutes away from the Mall of America.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Which was pretty awesome, I have to say. And so then I went to school, and we're over the border, at University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, where I majored in elementary and middle school education with a minor in science. And then I ended up getting my master's in adaptive ed. And so we actually stayed out there for a really long time in the Midwest, and we didn't move out to Virginia until 2010.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, and so I did, though. So I did teach before we came out here. I taught, I lived in Wisconsin and taught over the border in Illinois for 7 years.
Oh, cool.
And I started out in 6th grade science for 1 year. And then I really wanted that elementary classroom, and so then I switched, and then I taught 2nd grade down in Illinois for 6 years. And then we came out I took 3 years off to be with my kids. And I came out to Virginia, and it was actually my neighbor. We moved here. My neighbor was a Stafford County public school teacher. And we started just talking and everything. And then she encouraged me. She's like, I think you should go back. I said, I really am ready to go back. My daughter was starting kindergarten that year, and I was ready. So she's like, I think you should apply. And so I did. I applied for an elementary position. Grafton called me a couple weeks later. And then that's how it all started.
That's awesome. So did you know you wanted to be a teacher from a young age, or was it something you decided when you got into college? When did that happen for you?
Okay, Dan, that's such a funny question because I was just telling my own children this the other day. It's funny. So I actually started out as a business major with a minor in German.
Wow, no kidding.
I don't know how this all happened, to be honest. Because I think I was just like, I'm going to change and I'm going to do all this in college and then I switched to elementary and middle school education my sophomore year because I realized every single job I had before all had to do with education. Like even my mom ran an in-home daycare.
Yeah.
My dad actually was a chemist. So we combined all that. So I had the science and elementary background. I was a park and rec leader all throughout high school, working with kids, and it was a great experience, actually. We had to make newsletters once a week. We actually had to plan all of our activities.
Nice.
So everything I did up to college was all involving children and education, pretty much.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And so I don't know if I just tried to rebel and try to be a business major for a year because I realized it was not for me. And yep, I switched to education, and yep, never looking back.
Never looking back, making a difference every single day. That's awesome. So, Laura, did a lot of folks have had a champion or someone kind of in their corner. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a family member who kind of just, was life changing in many ways. And sometimes we take those characteristics from those people back into our classrooms. Did you have someone like that, a champion in your life?
Dan, I did. So my kindergarten teacher, her name was Mrs. Alley. One of my favorite teachers ever, and I still actually keep in contact with her to this day.
Really?
She still sends our family holiday cards, and we still send them. So actually, to me and to my parents, we still communicate with her. And she was that teacher that made us just all feel so special. Like every time you walked in that class, like you just knew you were going to be cared for the whole entire time. I still remember she sang happy birthday to you. She had a piano. She played the piano and sang happy birthday to you. And then she made everyone their own individualized birthday crown that had stickers of things that they liked on it. But she really just had that way of making everyone feel like they were their own special person.
That's amazing. And
it is.
And I just love how you said she put stickers on the crown of things that you like. Like that. Talk about detail.
Yes. Dan, I tried that for 1 year, though, and I realized I'm not very good at making birthday crowns, so.
Oh, my goodness. Well, and that takes a lot of time, too, to make sure you're finding different things. That Miss Allie, shout out to you. Obviously, you're incredible because we have Laura in the house, and she is just Stafford County excellence. That's awesome. That's awesome. And how cool that you remember a first grade teacher, and you remember how she made you feel. I think that's so important. And
it's funny. It's amazing, I think, how teachers can make you feel that way, though. Like, she brought these books in, and she introduced them into my life. And so then I went and I honestly bought them all. It was those little Mr. and Mrs. books. I don't know if you remember those. They're like those little perfect, square books. I went and bought them all, but then that's something I even shared with my own children. It's like one of those things. It's like she brought something in that I remember that meant so much to me, and now I can share it just with somebody else.
That's so awesome. That anytime that I'm talking to new teachers, I tell them every single moment, literally every single moment, is impactful, either positive or negative. And it just makes you think about those different, things just like Miss Allie, and how powerful she was. So good stuff.
No, definitely.
So now it is time to talk about your excellence, Laura. So it is clear that you're an example of Stafford County excellence here in Stafford County Public Schools. We are so glad that your neighbor said, hey, you should come back to teach. And I know that Grafton Village also is so proud and happy to have you as a part of their school community. So can you share with us a best practice, an innovation, or something else in your classroom so we can learn more about your excellence?
Well, Dan, I think, since we're fifth grade, well, I guess, since we used to be fifth grade together, we teach everything. But one thing I really try to do in our classroom is just really get science in the hands of children. Okay. I want them to provide opportunities where they can create, explore, and critically think, and to make sure it's okay that it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail as long as afterwards, we can learn from those failures and what did you learn from it. So I just think really providing those different opportunities. I know we have our 16th annual egg drop coming up.
Oh, nice. Tell us more about that.
Which is going to be pretty amazing. So this actually started before I came to fifth grade. I said, this is my 8th year in fifth grade. So this actually started even before me. And we have changed some things a little bit, but they do. So, they go through the engineering process and they provide a type of parachute. And we go up to the top of the roof of our building and we drop and we record data and we see if the egg survives. But it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. That's good
It's
stuff.
something the kids look forward to definitely every year.
Yeah, and just going back to what you were talking about, science is a really cool area to teach kids that, making mistakes and failing is so awesome when you're picking yourself back up. Because scientists make hypotheses and they totally get them wrong all the time. So
it's fun because they get to think about what are we going to do next? If we do get it wrong, what's your wonder? What's something that you can do next when you try it?
Which talk about real life. That's real life. If I'm putting something together and it's not really working out at home, I have to try something else. So science just
No,
rocks.
definitely. I think it's really neat too, Dan. Like, so I taught kinder camp this summer, which was wonderful. So I had these incoming like kindergarten kids,
Okay.
and I gave them a STEM experiment, and it was the one, and you have to put like, we put weights in a boat. You design a boat, and you have to see how much weight before it sinks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even at a young age, I found it amazing on how those kids, like, if their boat sunk, they took their boat right back out, and they wanted to like change it.
Yeah.
They wanted to try to fix it and redesign it to see it, to make it better, which I thought was so interesting, even at such a young age, and how they're already thinking that way.
And they're kind of unafraid to try something new automatically. We just have to provide those opportunities intentionally to make sure that, we're giving tasks that have more than one right answer.
Yes, definitely.
So, and I can right now hear Mike Pratt cheering in his office, our science LOD facilitator, guys, because Laura is just bringing it home with the science.
And I think we do have to give Mike Pratt a big shout out, though, because he does, I think, definitely give us these opportunities where we can get the science in like hands of children, like through sea perch.
Mm-hmm.
And our star lab that we have, like that indoor planetarium, he gives these like lots of opportunities for us.
Mike Pratt is another example of Stafford County excellence.
Definitely.
That's like the perfect shout out. So
Definitely.
Let's move into your thoughts, Laura. Well, and before I go there, I just have to say it's so exciting to talk to a fellow 5th grade teacher. I know that I do not have a classroom of my own this year, but like I am just like fired up right now. I just want to like run and just like start doing all these different things. I'm just so pumped. So just getting to your thoughts. So we're currently in the beginning of the school year, and the first couple guests that we had on the podcast were high school teachers, and so they're seeing kids every single block, a whole new group of kids. One of the things I loved about 5th grade was I got that group of kids all day, every day for the entire year, and there was such magic in that. So what are some ways that you work, especially this year? Kids are coming back to school for the first time since March 2020. What are ways that you work to create that classroom community, that classroom family in 5th grade at Grafton Village?
Yeah, I definitely think, I heard the last two guests when I was watching them, and, we still do the icebreakers. I said one thing we've been doing a lot of, too, that very first week was just some STEM activities. Get them working together again, talking to each other, communicating with each other, which was fantastic. One thing that I do, too, with the kids is, as they're working in their group, and this is their first group project that they do, and it's a project where they're going to have to go and present, and it's about the brain and how the brain works. And the kids don't know I'm ever doing it, but I open up a Padlet on the screen.
Yeah.
And I just walk around and I just listen to them. I just listen to them. I'm just facilitating. I'm listening to what they're saying. And I have the keyboard with me and I just start typing like good things that I hear from the groups. And all of a sudden, it's coming up on the Padlet on the screen. And finally, it's amazing that all of a sudden one kid notices. And they're like, wait, I just said that. And it's up on the screen. I'm like, oh, you're right. And so I just start typing all the good things that I hear. And then at the end, they get so excited because we look at it. And I don't type their name by it, but I look at it and they're like, they get so excited because they're like, oh, I said that. Or because I think definitely at the beginning of the year, we do need to kind of just review, how do we work in a group? And
Absolutely.
How does a group work? Does one person just sit there? Does one person take over? How does that group work?
And sometimes I love that because sometimes we don't even realize what we're saying. So for you to write that down anonymously and then to analyze it after, talk about power, using feedback.
Yeah, it's fun. I think going now, though, into week 3, we've kind of done the icebreaker. So this has been our big week of setting goals, our goal setting week. We're creating our portfolios this week and talking about that, about work that we want to save.
Okay.
So, yeah, I said, we're getting into the school year now.
Right. It's so hard to believe we're already in week 3.
I know.
I feel like I was just at the New Teacher Institute, and here we are. Do you feel like with those tasks and those activities, have you noticed that your kids are really starting to interact and work with each other coming out of the pandemic?
I think definitely. I think one of the biggest things for our class this year, too, is just learning about failure and perseverance. That it's okay, because I keep telling it is okay if you fail, as long as you learn. And I just loved, I had a girl today, she goes, I made a mistake, but I know what it is, and so now I learned from that mistake.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
it was wonderful. But I think that's one of the things, especially this year, that I've seen, is just lots of kids just knowing it's okay to make that mistake.
Yeah. And that's clear that in 3 weeks you've already established that safe environment, Laura, where kids can say that.
Yes.
Because sometimes, especially fifth graders, I always found, it's not cool sometimes to be wrong or to make a mistake, you know?
Yes. Nope, I agree.
And so that's just so awesome. Okay, I love talking fifth grade. So the final 3 statements of the day. So I'm going to say a phrase, okay, and I want you to complete it, okay?
Okay, Dan, I love this part too, and I watched the other ones. I go, this is one of my favorite parts.
This is my favorite part. This is one of my favorite parts of this as well, just because I love to hear everything. So here's our first one. The thing I love the most about teaching is what?
Seeing student growth, but even more seeing the student's reaction when they see their growth.
Oh, that's so cool. Yes. I love to see the reactions. Dear first year teacher me.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Meaning, I remember my first year, I would be spending hours like making a bulletin board, like die cutting letters, laminating a little poster thing, where I said, really, the kids don't care if you have this laminated die cutted poster when you could have hand written something. They want a teacher who's present, someone to listen to them, respect them. They don't care about that poster hanging on the wall.
And those are the things that they remember, those feelings, not the things on the wall.
Yes.
And finally, we've both been in Stafford County now a while, so Stafford County Public Schools is the place to teach because
they are your family, 100%. The people you meet, they truly are, I have to say. I mean, even at our building, at other schools, but they really are a true family.
I so agree with that. We actually heard a lot of feedback from the new teachers as well, that they felt really at home after their new teacher week, and they felt like
oh,
they
Dan,
belonged.
that's great.
So isn't that awesome?
That is great news. Yes.
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, I can email you and say, "Hey, Laura, do you want to join the Stafford Excellence EdTalks?" And you're like, "Absolutely, Dan. Let's do
sure."
this." So, Laura, I just have to say, I am so incredibly grateful. It is so clear that you are the prime example of Stafford County excellence. Your diligence, how hard that you work for your fifth graders, and just your leadership in science, but also across the board. It is so clear that your students are so lucky to have you and to call you teacher. So thank you for joining the podcast today.
Well, thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
You bet. Episode number 3. I mean, that's like royalty, okay? So, and just for everybody at home, remember you can check out a brand new episode, a brand new podcast every single Wednesday of the Stafford Excellence Ed Talks on the Stafford County Public Schools YouTube page. Thank you guys. Take care, and we'll see you next week.